Today we are going to do the hands-on on the new feature that came recently in the 10.0.42 version of the Dynamics D365 Finance and SCM. So today we are going to cover this particular feature which called as a prevent duplicate invoices for free text invoice, and it is coming in the 10.0.42 versions, and it will be enabled by the parameters, account receivables parameter. So let's deep dive into the system. Let's start same thing to do in the Dynamics, how we can do that and how we can enable this feature in the Dynamics. But before that, I just want to highlight one thing, that as per the Dynamics standards, there is no option to fill the manual free text invoice number by the user, either in the free text invoice or either in the sales order. But there might be such a scenario where due to the glitch of the number sequence, system automatically picking the same number sequence and it is posting automatically the same number sequence again and again. So to prevent these kind of error by the system, Microsoft has introduced one of the feature called prevent the posting of duplicate invoices. So let's get started. If we will come to the home page of the Dynamics, we have to go to the account receivables, and under that, once we'll do the collapse all, we have the setup option. Under setup, we have the account receivables parameter, and as I have discussed, like this will be enabled from the account receivables parameter instead of feature management. So we have to go to the updates. Under updates, we will collapse all. We have the option called invoices, and under invoice, you will see that we have the option called check the invoice number used. So there are 4 options as of now. So the four options are like, first option is reject duplicates. It simply means if system has already posted one of the invoice with the 001, right? And if again by mistakenly the system is going to generate the same number sequence, even before posting, system will do the hard stop and it will not post the duplicate invoice. But it will select this one, reject duplicates within fiscal year. It simply means it will reject the duplicates within the fiscal year. Means if there is a same number sequence, if we are using the same fiscal year, then it will give the error and it will prevent or reject for posting of the duplicate invoice. And if it is another fiscal year, then it will accept to post the free text invoice with the same number sequence. Third one is like accept duplicates. If we'll put it as this one, then system will accept the duplicate invoice either in the same fiscal year or in the different fiscal year. Okay. And the last one is like warn in case of a duplicates. So in this case, system will only give the warning that it is in a duplicate, but on the same time, it will post as well. Okay. Now let's see the same thing. We'll do the hands-on one by one. So let's say right now I am doing one setup that reject duplicates. Okay. And as we know that we don't have the option to put the free text invoice number manually, right? So for testing of this particular functionality, let's say I am going to change the number sequence that system is going to be generated. Now let's say this is the number sequence, this is the free text invoice number, and this is the number sequence that provided by the Dynamics standard. So I'll go to the number sequence, and as we can see right now it is showing as a 13. Okay. Now let's see, I'm going to post an FTI that will generate the number as a INMF 000013. So this will be the first time. So now let's say for posting of the free text invoice, we already know how we can do that. So let's say I'm just going to the another tab, and from here we can go to the account receivables, collapse all, invoice, and all free text invoices. Now let's say I'm going to post an FTI. So for creating of the free text invoice, we have to click new. From here we can select the customer. So I'm just selecting any random customer from here. All the details of the header, FTI header, it will pick from the customer master itself. Now let's say I'm just putting this one duplicate. I'm just putting any description just for identification. Reject duplicate invoice. I'm just putting any main account or revenue account, you can say, sales others. I'm just putting my value, let's say 100, and I'm not going to consider right now I'm in the tax information, what will be the tax configuration or something like that. So let's say I have just given the least required data to post this particular FTI. So now if I'm going to post this one, so this is the fresh invoice that I am posting right now. And as we can see, before posting, we don't have the option to put it manually, correct? So now it will generate automatically just after posting of this particular free text invoice. So if you can see, it's already posted and it's generated the invoice number 00013. Now, if we'll go to the number sequence and refresh it, system will take the next number sequence, that will be 14, if you can see. But just for the testing purpose, we are going to the number sequence and we'll change it to 13 again, the next number sequence. I'll save it. I just want to generate the same number sequence by the system, but at the same time, because of this particular feature, system will prevent it to post the same number sequence. So now I'm going to create another FTI with the same customer, or either it can be with a different customer as well. There is no limitation on that. I'll select the same, reject duplicate. I'll select the main account as sales others, and then I'll put some value, different value, so that we can differentiate it. So now let's say I put it the 200 and now I'm going to post it. I'll save it and I'll click on post. Even before posting, let's say I'm just to make sure that it should be saved. So now what I will do, I will click on the post button. Now, as per the configuration, the setup that we have done right now, that it will reject the duplicates. So if you can see, cannot create a record in assign free text invoice number. The record is already exist. So this error is coming because of that particular setup that we have done. So this is the one option that we have, reject duplicates. Now let's talk about the another option that we have in the parameter. That is, now let's say I'm going to duplicate the screen, and now let's say I'm going to the same parameter, account receivables parameter, and then setup parameter, and then we'll go to the updates. Now let's talk about the another option that we have. We'll talk about the reject duplicates within the fiscal year at the end of this particular scenarios. So now let's say if I'll click on the accept duplicates, then basically it will accept the same number sequence again. I have changed to accept duplicates. Now I'll go to the number sequence, I'll refresh it, and I'll give the number sequence as, let's say, 13 again by the system. I'm click on save button and clicking on save again. So it has saved now. System will post the same FTI, okay, with the same number sequence. It will not prevent, basically. It will not reject, basically. Even it will not give any warning as well. So accept duplicates. I'll give the main account as a sales others. I'll give the amount as 300, let's say, and I'll click on save button, and I'll just go to the post. So now at this moment, this will not first of all give any warning. This will post and it will generate the same number sequence that we have already generated, because as per the current setup, we have make it accept duplicates. So this is the two things that we have covered now, as of now. Now let's say if I'll change to 1 in case of duplicates, what is going to be happen is like it will give the warning, but it will post. Now let's say I'll create a new one and I'll put the customer same, and over here select as a warning in case of a duplicates. So I'm just putting the same description so that we can just identify which kind of a scenario we have covered. So I'll select the same thing. Now let's say amount I'm giving 500, and now if I click on save and post, then at this moment basically it will post the FTI, but at the same time it will give the warning as well. So if you can see, because earlier we have posted another invoice which was generated with the invoice number 14. So that's why it has generated now as a 14 and it is giving the warning, but it has already posted, if we can see. Okay, so 3 options we have covered one by one. Now let's talk about the reject duplicates within fiscal year. What does it mean? As I have discussed earlier as well, that it simply means it will reject only if the same number sequence we are using to generate for the FTI within the same fiscal year, then it will reject. If it is not the same fiscal year, then it will accept. Now let's see the output of the configuration. Now we have changed the configuration to reject the duplicates within the same fiscal year. As right now we can see, we have already posted 2 invoices, one invoice with 13 and we have one invoice with 14. Now let's say I'm going to make it, right now it is showing as 15. Now let's say we have already posted, right? So firstly we'll see whether it is rejecting within the same fiscal year or not, even after doing the setup. So let's say I'm just putting again the 14. I'll click on save. Okay, now I already changed the number sequence. Now I will post this another FTI in the same customer. I'll put the description like in this way. I'll select the main account, and then at this moment we have the same fiscal year. Like earlier we have posted with the same date. Now I'm posting with the same date only, so it will be the same fiscal year. And right now if we can see the setup is like reject duplicates within the fiscal year. Now it's not the reject duplicates. So in this case also it should reject to post the FTI with the same number sequence. Let's see. So I'm just removing this one and I'll post it. So at this moment also system will prevent to post. So if we can see over here, it is again giving a error that it cannot create a record in assigned free text invoice number because the record is already exist. Now there is one more scenario. What will happen if my number sequence will be same but fiscal year will be changed? So for that, now let's go to the ledger calendar first of all. So for that I'll go to the ledger calendar, general ledger calendar. I'll go to the calendar and ledger calendar, because for the another fiscal year I have to check whether my period is open or not. So for that I'll go to the 2025-26. So for this, after that, let's say I'm just going to post in the same one. So it is already open. So now let's say I'm going to post in April, correct? So for that, let me check the number sequence as well, because I want that systems to generate the same number sequence. So for that again I'll go to the account receivables parameter and then I'll go to the number sequence and free text invoice number sequence, and here I'll again put as 14 because this particular invoice number is already generated, and when we are going to post the FTI with the same number sequence in the same fiscal year, system has prompted an error that record is already exist, correct? But what will happen if I'm going to create a new free text invoice, same free text invoice, I'm going to post in the another fiscal year, that is 2025 to 2026. So now let's say I'm going to post on 23rd April 2025. So that will be a next fiscal year, correct? So in this case, it should accept the duplicate invoice because the fiscal year has been changed. So at this moment, it should post and generate the same number sequence. So this is the functionality basically that Microsoft has given the prevention option of the duplicate free text invoice number. Thanks for watching.